Gemini Man is directed by Ang Lee and stars Will Smith, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Clive Owen. And this is it tells the story of a retired assassin who is Will Smith's character, who ends up wanting to retire after, having a long year as being a sniper. And then basically, pretty self-explanatory. There's pretty much an assassins that go after him, and his own government pretty much turns on him. And basically, he gets also getting hunted down by a clone of himself that's, as you see in the trailers, is a younger version of Will Smith.
And it's basically the same kind of plot we see a lot in these,
like in Looper.
Your government turns on you. How many fucking movies we get of that a year?
Pretty much. Yeah. And now here's a little backstory. Now this movie was directed by Ang Lee, who is been quite one of the most profound directors in Hollywood over the years, because he's made a lot of acclaimed movies like Crash, Tiger, and Dragon, Brokeback Mountain. But there's been other films that he's done that are kind of outside the norm, so to speak, like in 2003's Hulk, which to this day I kind of find a little not too bad, but I can see a lot of the criticism for it.
Yeah.
But he's also directed other movies like Life of Pi and stuff like that. So he's had a lot of different genres caked together. But action is usually he's not really his go-to, besides Crouch, Tiger, and Dragon, so to speak.
Yeah.
But with this one coming out, apparently this movie was actually in development for a long time with this script. This script was actually written in 1997, and before even this movie got made, they actually had a lot of different directors and actors involved. Back in the 90s, they actually at one point had Clint Eastwood, Harrison Ford, Tom Cruise. They even had other big-name directors at the time attached to it, like Tony Scott.
Yep.
And all them. So this was a script that was floating around in the 90s that they finally decided to bring it out after
the reason behind that is because they were wanting to do the whole clone thing, and they wanted to wait for technology to get advanced. It's kind of like what James Cameron's doing with Avatar.
Yeah, that's why he waited 12 years after he wrote Titanic.
Yeah.
So I can see what they were going for, but based on the trailers, I get the kind of the impression that this was kind of doing a kind of a 90s throwback, because it was also produced by Jerry Bruckheimer, who, if you may know, he's done a lot of countless, movies back in the day with Michael Bay and a lot of other.
And not only that, upon seeing the trailer too, everybody, if you really go see movies and you understand how they do films, in January and a little bit of February, it's called dump month.
Yeah.
When it comes to these type movies, especially when your government's after you, it seems like August and September mainly are known to be the dump month of these type films.
Yeah.
Where they are actually so bad that they could be released in January, but then they wait until, okay, we'll have this big box office, and then we'll throw shit like this in August.
Yeah, and this is one of those occasions where it didn't really, it came out in October out of all months.
Out of all months, and it really didn't feel like that was the nature of the month it should have came out.
Yeah.
Felt kind of awkward.
But even from the trailers, I was very mixed upon seeing it, because there was two things that got to me that I thought were at least interesting. Mm-hmm. Will Smith alone, I've always loved as an actor, and even if the movie sucks, I can at least see that maybe he can at least bring something to the movie.
Exactly.
And also, what also got me interested was the whole way they de-aged his face, because with this technology we have nowadays, we've been seen in countless movies, including Marvel's movies
and Star Wars.
Yeah. So there's been a lot of other movies that are using that trend now to make the actors' faces look younger and stuff.
And they did it in a film this year called It Chapter 2, which it was kind of not done well.
Yeah, but for the most part, I at least appreciate we've evolved in technology, and they're from the trailers alone, I at least thought it looked pretty good on them for the most part. And upon seeing the film, I can honestly say that while this movie wasn't good, it's certainly not as fucking bad as what I've heard, because it's really just more forgettable.
Yeah, because a lot of people from before I saw this film was telling me this is easily the top 3 worst film of this year. Everyone said it's unwatchable. And upon seeing it myself, I will say that while it's definitely not that bad, it's definitely not good.
Yeah,
it's pretty much
middle of the road.
In fact, we just got done seeing the movie out of theaters, and I'm going to be honest with you, we decided to go ahead and do the review in the car because I feel like I'm going to forget this soon.
Yeah, this is going to be one of the movies that I really you pretty much lose after your memory after watching it.
Yeah.
And upon seeing the film, The movie, it was like we were saying, it was pretty much a middle of the ground, so to speak.
Yeah,
middle of the road.
Ground. It was just okay.
Yeah. So to get my pros out of the way, once again, I love Will Smith as performance. He really, I thought, he pretty much saved the movie for me. Like almost like a lot of scenes with him and Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and even the other parts where he's with the clone. He really, does his best to really hold.
Yeah, the cast, surprisingly enough, with the whole cast, like Will Smith nailed it. In fact, he gave us quite an emotional impact with when he's playing also the younger.
Yeah.
So, like, I thought Will Smith, of course, stole the show. I did hear a lot of bad stuff with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, but in my opinion, I thought she wasn't that bad.
No, I didn't think she was that bad. Like, I mean, it's one of those kind of roles that really doesn't, like, have much of like a purpose, so to speak.
Yeah,
but
she's just it's just more add-on to add like more character to the movies is what they are. And I also like to do from Doctor Strange. That was in this.
Benedict Wong.
Yeah,
he was great.
Yeah, he was.
He was kind of the comic relief in this.
Yeah, he was actually pretty funny.
Yeah. So there was some actual, and that kind of brings my other point. Like I like some of the dialogue scenes they have that you can tell if this was probably if this was actually made in the 90s, it probably would have had a better like impact as far as the story.
Well, maybe if they would have treated this like, it has a sense that it could have been much bigger than what it was, but then again, it decides to just go ahead and finish it and sell itself off as a generic action film.
Yeah.
If they would have added more merit to it, this could have been a whole lot better.
Yeah, if you would have got somebody back in the day, like somebody like Tony Scott or something that takes this kind of dialogue, like Last Boy Scout, where you have similar stuff like that, you could probably make it work.
Yeah.
But because this is a script that floated around so long, it just shows what could have been when it was originally made.
And I will say that some of the de-aging scenes in the dark was done very well.
Absolutely.
In the dark, and we will get to our cons in a second. I will say that the story wasn't as it was at times kind of boring, but at the same time, a lot of people said it was so unwatchable, boring. I didn't really feel that. I thought that some of the fight scenes were pretty fucking cool at times.
There are times where the action department, Ang Lee knows how to really, shoot them and in a lot of great scenes.
I will tell you the bike chases.
The bike chase I thought was actually cool. Now, if there's questionable CGI at times, but I like the tracking shots that Lee uses to show like, from behind when Smith is going down the
I like a lot of the fast cuts of stuff. Like the way that it just felt like it was choreographed, like where like they're using like the bikes flying off, using his bike as a weapon. I thought while there is some bad CGI, I just like how it's choreographed.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was pretty good.
And there are some cool shootout sequences, especially near the end, where again it really falls into the tracking shots that Lee uses to where they're moving in one location to the next. Yeah. So there are some cool action scenes. It's just that it's more serviceable, really.
Yeah.
But other than that, I will say the de-aging save for the most part when it's in the dark, it does look pretty good, and you really get to see the detail they put in, especially in scenes where you get to see Will Smith cry. Yeah. And they put a lot of detail on that.
In fact, not only that, Will Smith does give an emotional performance of that. Like I said, he did very well.
Absolutely.
Which he steals the show. I mean, this is one of those films that really we don't have a lot to talk about as far as pros and cons. Even in the cons part, because there's not a lot with this film. So with that being said, we'll get into our cons right now. The plot is very generic. It is very boring. That's why I said I was 50-50 on the plot. I do find myself at times felt like this movie dragged on too long.
Absolutely. I did feel like there was a lot of scenes that were stretched out so much to the point that really this is a very straight, paper-thin plot that really did not need to be almost 2 hours.
Yeah, you just see them getting a lot of shit, and then like they're getting either on planes, boats, or just like practically traveling around the globe pretty
much. Yeah, it's like they're on vacation.
It's
basically.
Like, hey man, it's like we gotta go to Budapest, Hungary. Oh hey, we need to go Colombia. It's like, damn, I wish I could just say, I want to go to LA. I want to go to New York and get there in 2 seconds.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it's jumpy at times. I will also say that the whole Gemini thing, that this company that made the clone, they never really go into other than word text.
Yeah, that's my other big problem.
They just abruptly come out.
That's my other big problem too. There's a lot of exposition in this film that really all it does is just drag the plot along, and it really it's very rinse and repeat too, because they really talk about the same shit, and then they go into a lot, and then it basically keeps stretching the time more and more.
Yeah, like there another complaint I have is like there's like stuff that pop up suddenly in this movie that should have been explained more. Like example, like we get to see like a quick scene after them talk about Gemini. It just abruptly shows up for one scene of their training facility. That reminded me of the remake of RoboCop.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but it was a training facility of preparing for like terrorist attacks, and I was like, it just abruptly showed like that's where they train, and then they were like, oh, we just got to give that 2 seconds so you can see it, and then that's all you need. It just came out of nowhere. Not to mention the fucking ending, dude. There, when they
but basically when it gets to its third act, it starts. It's
very anticlimactic.
There's something that comes in random, and it's also like resolved so fucking fast. Like, why the fuck did that happen?
This movie's very anticlimactic. You do have a guy you saw in the trailers that you kind of already know who the villain is. He's really, they don't dig into him really. He's really nothing. He's talked about pretty much until you actually get to see him fight. You know, towards the end, it was anticlimactic ending. But he has another secret thing going on, and that thing could have been badass if it wasn't for 2 fucking minutes. It was only in the scene.
Exactly. And what my other biggest issue too is that this kind of really falls back to the CGI. Yeah. There's a lot of scenes, not a lot, but like there are certain scenes in this film where it looks pretty bad. Yeah. Especially the daytime scenes, like you see with the fucking the bike chase. Now, while it is filmed good, and I liked how it looked cool, there are scenes where you can tell the way it's on fire, and you got like the bike crash and stuff. It looks pretty bad.
Yeah, they look real bad.
And it looks like something out of a video game.
Yeah, a video game. And that's where I'm going to get to the video game talk on this one. They do like scenes where, especially like the Indian and stuff like that, they do scenes with the whole, the younger Gemini of him, his clone. And I'll tell you, it looked like one of those exposition fucking video game PS4 stories. Yeah. It looked cringy. Yeah. Like fucking bad.
Yeah, we won't. Basically, when it gets to the daytime scenes, it looked like it reminded me off of how they rendered Henry Cavill's mustache off of Justice League. I was like, oh, that looks pretty bad.
Yeah, the daytime. I mean, they say that Will Smith was really saying this is one of the best de-aging he's ever seen. No, it's not. I'm sorry.
If it was just sticking to the nighttime scenes, yeah, I can agree to an extent. But for the daytime scenes, there's a reason why it's not rendered properly.
Yeah. In fact, there's even one part where he actually goes like to the side, and I think it's Will Smith or somebody that might be playing under the face temporarily. You actually see that other face. Yeah. It's like, that's a big mistake. And then not only that, there's this, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's this, you know, you get like that certain person that dies in the film that's on your team. There was really no emotion to that.
There wasn't. It was just
it came out of nowhere. It's like, oh, and then it's forgotten.
Yeah.
It's like, what the fuck?
That's weird.
Yeah. So over that, man, this is really fucking generic. It is. I will forget this movie pretty quick.
That's what I'm saying. This is a quick and done type of movie that I probably would just rather, if I rented it, if it was back in the 90s and I rented it from Blockbuster, I'd rent it for probably a weekend, just for one night.
Yeah, I think I could live with probably, it's one of those like very average, like it ain't bad, but it ain't good. Yeah, it's average type film that I'll probably don't care for seeing again.
Yeah. So with that being said, with given for what it was, I'm going to give the movie pretty much kind of a low average Joe on the Film Phreeks meter.
I'm a low average Joe on the Film Phreeks meter as well.
Fair enough. For those of you who have also seen Gemini, let us know in the comments below what you thought about it. And if you like what you see here, you can feel free to like and subscribe to our channel. And check us on other views here and our website at filmphreeks.com. We'll be seeing you in our next review. We'll see you later.
Later.